Yo, what's up, guys? It's the Crypto Homie back again here. So, we're going to have a little update about why you should care about Bitcoin. I mean, criminals use it. So, isn't it like for like criminals, for bad people? And I mean, who even made it? So, what's the big deal? Well, I think when somebody asks what is Bitcoin, the answer is so complex. Like, just to say it in like 1 minute, just to give a quick response is like there's so much to go over in such short like amount of time. So I think the biggest thing is the average person doesn't understand what's wrong with the current financial system. Why, like what does this Bitcoin thing have to compete with? Like, why would anybody even want it compared to the U.S. dollar? I mean, the U.S. dollar is the global reserve currency, if you didn't know. So why would we want that? Like, we have access to the U.S. dollar. It's not like we live in Venezuela where there's hyperinflation, where our dollar is just inflating away. Like, you have like trucks full of it. You can't even buy like a loaf of bread. So why do we care? Well, there's this thing called quantitative easing. It's this fancy word that came out after '08, the '08 recession, and it just means money printing. And on crypto Twitter, they call it Burr. They just keep on printing. So this inflation, we're so accustomed that inflation is a normal part of our life. That's just how it is, guys. We have inflation. It's around 3% a year average. So it's just how it is. Things go up. It's just how it is, guys. But no, really, it's not how it is. Because you look at Venezuela, you look at other countries, lives have been devastated, devastated. I mean, there's people that I mean, throughout their lifetime, they've gone through multiple currencies and they've lost everything. They're so poor they don't have money to get something to eat. I mean, that's terrible. It's not like, first world problems. We don't have the problems that these first world countries have, and so they're the ones that really need the Bitcoin. This is what really protects you. So if you live in a country like the United States, your dollar, as of right now, it's fine. You go make money. It's fine. You're only losing like 3% a year. And just remember, like Robert Kiyosaki says best, if you're a saver, you're a loser. Why? Because you're losing money every year. So, I mean, keep that in mind. And so the hyperinflation thing, I do believe it's going to come to America. Oh, I mean, we will see. I mean, they're printing trillions of dollars. I'll stop right there. That's another video. So, when it comes to printing the money, we're gonna have to edit here. um, so like, what gives our dollar value? Like, is our dollar backed by gold? Like, what's our dollar backed by? Well, our dollar isn't backed by anything other than you say you'll take a dollar. I say I'll take a dollar. They'll say they'll take a dollar. That's what it's backed up by. I mean, the government, says, oh, a dollar is worth a dollar, and the people believe that dollar. So what's that is the word that I just said was believe. So it's a belief system, and so it's just like with the gold standard when the dollar was backed by gold, which by the way it wasn't 1-to-1 back, but that's a different story. And so if you have your dollar that's backed by at least something, it gives it more value because you used to be able to take your dollar, cash it in for X amount of gold. You can't do that because it's not backed by gold ever since 1971. That's the reason why Robert Kiyosaki says you're a loser if you save money, because you're losing money. Just like there's this comparison, and this may be going a little too far. There's this comparison back in the 60s when they took real silver and real copper out of the coins, and I don't think they had gold, but just taking the silver and the copper out of the coins and putting in like nickel and zinc and some other cheaper metals. So first of all, it made the production of the coins a lot less, obviously, but that meant that keeping them and holding on to them gave them, like, there's no point, you might as well just spend them. So what people did was they started hoarding all the coins with real silver, real copper, and whatever. I believe that was the only important, the only valuable coins. So anything with silver or copper. So they started spending the cheap stuff. And like I said, this may be getting too far. You may not understand this, but that's why people don't spend Bitcoin. If you've heard of the guy that spent 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas back in the day, it's because that's how much a 10,000 Bitcoins was worth back then. 2 pizzas. So just that's kind of a comparison that might make sense in the future if you're new to this. And there's something else that goes along with the cost. I think something else like with our currency that something else that you just may not understand, because the financial system, we believe it's like, the best thing ever, the US dollar, global reserve currency. I mean, come on, we live in America, so the freest country, right? But there's this thing about mining. So Bitcoin, there's miners, that's how transactions are done. So it takes a lot of computer power, which takes a lot of electric, which kills the environment. And people are like, oh my God, Bitcoin's so bad because it just destroys the environment. You're just killing the animals and everything. But let's step back a second. Like I always think, so what kind of environmental damage is done with producing fiat currency, which fiat currency is anything controlled by the government, which the US dollar is a fiat currency, the euro is a fiat currency, the yen's a fiat currency. I think you get the point. So you have these dollars, these pieces of paper, and these coins. So what's the environmental damage on that? I mean, you're mining the earth for whatever cheap metals they're using now. I mean, what's the damage there? You probably can't even calculate that. But something interesting that I learned recently that really blew my mind was that 1 penny, and I'm reading this, you just Google cost of producing a penny. I didn't even spell that wrong, but anyways, and I'm quoting this, it currently costs 2.06 cents to make each penny and 7.53 cents to make a nickel. I mean, are you serious? Are you serious? So I'll just leave that there. That's just crazy, in my opinion. So it's like, going back to the why should you care about Bitcoin? It just goes back to, you need to learn about the current financial system. I mean, it's controlled by a handful of guys that are behind closed doors. They come on and say, oh, we're going to lower interest rates, or oh, we're going to raise interest rates, or oh, we're going to do this. And the whole market decides what they're going to do based off of these behind closed doors, which is the most, scariest part, because you have no clue what they're going to do. I mean, and they have full power. Like, we, in a way, gave them power to do that, and we accept it, and that's how the market, goes. And then branching off into the stock market, I mean, I'm sure everybody saw back in March when the stock market just crashed. It was called, if you're not familiar, it was a liquidity crisis, and everything was selling. Every market, gold was down, Bitcoin was down, the stock market was down. And then what happened was they printed trillions of dollars. I lost count already, but it's been trillions. I think it was at least 3, and they're working on some more, so watch out, guys. But they're printing all this money, and that's going to cause some kind of inflation. We're going to have a deflationary period in the interim, but long term, what's the effects for everyday person? What's the effects? But stocks aren't, my point is, stocks aren't going up. Bitcoin's not going up. Everything's not going up because it's worth more. It's very simple. It's because the US dollar is becoming worth less. The reason why stocks are going up, the reason why it takes more dollars to buy one stock, the same stock that 6 months ago cost $20 less, or let's use percentages because it's better, 10% less, 20% less, it's because it takes more dollars to buy the same stock. Let that sink in. It's something so basic, yet so complicated to actually understand. It takes more dollars because dollars are becoming worth less. The total supply of dollars is high. It keeps going up, keep rising. Oh my God, it just breaks through the roof. And then we wonder why things go up. It's why, your soap goes up, why toilet paper. It's why toilet paper goes up. But the dollar is just becoming worthless. Every day it's worth less and less because they print more and more, and we just accept it. So there could be a way out. And this is why I asked the question again. Why should you care about Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin has a set monetary system. There's not a couple guys behind closed doors making a decision. Oh, what should we do today? Do you think they'll like this? There's nothing like that. The total supply at all times. Every transaction is it's all public record. Every transaction is publicly posted. There's no hiding anything. You can't say, I have 1 million Bitcoin. And then you post your address and you don't have a million Bitcoin, like then you're just silly because you just lied. Like what was the point of that? So it's full transparency. It's decentralized, cannot be shut down. If it could be shut down, the government would have done it. Um, so I guess technically it's possible. There's ways of attempting to do it, but it's kind of like a theory, and it would take a lot of money. Which, keep in mind, the U.S. government just prints it, so why don't they just shut it down? So the more So it's like what I'm getting at is, so if you live in America, or just live in, I mean, you can live in any country, it doesn't matter. I'm not being like I'm not trying to exclude people, but especially in America, we don't see the value in a currency that's not tied to a government, because we've never gone through. Anybody that's been in America, you haven't gone through a currency crisis. You haven't gone to where your currency is hyperinflated and now is worth nothing. You can't even buy like a loaf of bread for millions of dollars. Something like crazy like that. Like in World War II, with Germany, their fiat currency just was worthless. I remember like hearing in school how they would have like wheelbarrows of money just to get like one loaf of bread. How much money was that? That sounds like a lot, because 100K is only like this thick of hundreds. So even if you have ones, that's still crazy. So how could you protect yourself? How could you be prepared, possibly, or have a hedge? Or maybe you're turning into one of those crypto people that are like, why you should only have invested what you're willing to lose in dollars, and then everything that's safe is Bitcoin. You can do a complete 180 or not. It's whatever you want to do. I know recently Anthony Pompliano, I'm definitely saying that wrong, but he goes by Pomp on Twitter. He had a very good live stream, very informative, and he mentioned about, you should decide if you think the Bitcoin system has like a 1% chance, then you should have 1% of your assets, your net worth into it. So he believes that Bitcoin has a 50-50% chance to 50-50. Okay, so he believes that. So he has 50 in the Bitcoin system, 50 in the fiat system. So, which I think is fair, because a lot of people say, oh, I think it only has like a 5% chance. But then you look at their portfolio, and their portfolio says it has a 0% chance. So I feel like putting your money where your mouth is extremely important, because without that, then your opinion is worthless. You don't have skin in the game. What's the point of even, like, you have no opinion? It's like when like somebody says marijuana is bad, but they never smoked it. Oh my God, it just destroys everything. But have you ever smoked it? No? Okay, then shut up. So it's the same thing. You have to have skin in the game. And with no skin in the game, what's the point? So you have to figure out, you have to do your research. And there will be more videos to go. I'm going to go into some more detail about Bitcoin. This is just a basic about, when someone asks, what is Bitcoin? First, you need to discover, what is your current financial system like? What is the current monetary policy like? And what's the problems with that? And how could something fix it? So there's going to be more to come, guys. I'm peacing out. Take it easy.